Looking at the Markets with David Modell.
Welcome to Looking at the Markets with David Modell. Today I have a very special return guest. He is Mr. Peter Thomas, a world-renowned expert in the markets in general, but specifically he's known for precious metals expertise. And you can visit Mr. Peter Thomas, which I hope you will do frequently, first of all on Twitter. He's frequently tweeting and getting lots of retweets because they're such good tweets. And on Twitter, he is at Goldbug111. That's at Goldbug111.
The Goldbug, David, has been phased out, and because we've moved over, we've got 30 or 40,000 people following us on the Metal Zaner now. So that's the big one right now.
Got it. Okay, so we're gonna shift that over to at Metal Zaner, which is what I was going to mention next. That's at
Perfect. Thank
Metal
you so
Zaner. All right, and of course you want to visit ZanerPreciousMetals.com. Plenty of resources there. I'm actually looking there right now. We're going to talk about new developments on the website, but what a great place to not only make purchases of, if you want to get involved in holding some precious metals, but also just to get the latest, on what's going on with gold, silver, platinum, palladium, as well as the markets in general. So, Mr. Peter Thomas, welcome back to Looking at the Markets.
Well, it's good to be here. We haven't talked in a little while, so we've got some catching up to do, and I hope we can bring your listeners into the circle here.
Yeah, gotcha. I'll be glad to do that. So much has happened since we spoke about, 6 months ago. I want to talk about some recent goings on, like in China. Things are heating up. So what is going on in a nutshell in China in terms of oil for gold?
Well, very interesting. About 2.5 years ago, I started writing about the reenactment of the Silk Road, which was the old trade routes that go back before our recorded time, that's for sure. And what's been happening is Russia and China are slowly bringing that wall down, and as China's consumption, David, has just, as we've seen, just skyrocket in every natural resource. Oil has been one of the highest commodities that they need for the creation of energy, for their autos, for everything. Creation of lubricants, refined lubricants, gasoline, diesel. All of these things are in tremendous demand. And what's happening is, as many of you know from, I think, one of our first conversations, is I've been considered the father of cross-collateralization, in which what we did was we would take currencies from various countries, convert them into gold, hold the gold against a delivery. Let's say, I'll give you an example. We had an individual in China who was creating a special type of anti-corrosive. He had orders in Brazil, but he didn't want to take reals. So what we did is we went to a bank that had a boutique window. We took the reals, converted them into gold, deposited the gold in New York. Then when the product was delivered to Brazil, then we freed up the gold. What's happening is this exact same thing is occurring between Russia and China, which is they're going to be pledging for X amount of gold. They will in turn be able to use their gold-backed yuan. The yuan will be able to be presented for a demand window in which they will indeed deliver gold. They have been working now for a number of years getting their new bullet trains to have a direct express route from Peking to Moscow, and that will be one of their delivery points. Obviously, that will cut down on the cost of using planes, and it will also allow them to ship more products. So lots of exciting stuff going on there, and it also circumvents using the basket of currencies, which primarily is dollars. So that's going to change it's an entire game changer.
Sounds like it. Speaking of game changers, I mean, just in precious metals in general, we've seen some recent volatility that we may not have seen for a long time. Could be an opportunity. I don't know. It depends on how you look at it. And what do you think is causing this volatility? Is it just algos? Is it political events? What do you think?
I think you hit both of them, Dave. I really do. I mean, when you have not one but three naval carriers sitting off the coast of North Korea, that's a big event. You have to remember that a flat top is not just a ship; it's a political presence. And when you have the striking capacity of three flat tops, I mean, you're talking about a tremendous expression of your political overviews. And let me tell you something, that's a big deal. And so you get down to not just North Korea, but there's so many things going on around the world. I mean, this week we lost Zimbabwe, right? I mean, we coup was effective yesterday at noon. We're seeing globally all kinds of changes, and changes within a lot of linchpin countries. So political, you're absolutely right. I mean, that certainly can't be ignored. And then two is, are the algo traders in effect having an effect on the market? You better believe it. Yeah. You see a market get in, and I think it's driven as much by momentum or the V as anything else. You see a market start to pick up velocity, and then it increases. It doesn't slow down. And you can just see we have systems out there now, AI systems, that they don't even have a human being involved. I mean, light goes green, they're just buying, and they just keep buying until light goes red, and there's no emotion whatsoever. It's just numbers.
Yeah.
And that's having a tremendous effect on markets, and it hasn't slowed down. And if anything, I think it's going to increase.
Yeah, it's becoming tougher and tougher for us human beings to compete against these algos. It
is. I'll tell you what. The only thing I think that is going to be different is that as the swings get wider and it gets bloodier, if you will, you're going to need some of these old crusty traders that have lived through some of the wars to be able to look and ascertain, where things have changed and how to play those. And there's not a lot of real traders left around anymore.
Yeah, it's a shame. So I wanted to talk about Palladium.
One
of the hottest. It's become one of the hottest markets in precious metals. It's usually a dormant, relatively speaking, dormant metal, and it's just had a staggering rally in the last year and a half. In fact, right now I'm looking at ZanerPreciousMetals.com. I'm looking at the 5-year chart of Palladium, and I can see, and people should check out ZanerPreciousMetals.com. You can see all the charts on multiple time frames for platinum, palladium, silver, gold, etc. I'm seeing since it looks like mid 2016, it's had dips, but it's just been staircasing itself upward. Palladium.
Yeah.
Almost. Where do you see this going? Is it overheated or what?
Well, I mean, initially, when it was up about 20%, I said this can't go on, because I was looking at, you have to look at car production and demand. And then we saw one of the keynote things is pickup trucks, which are a direct reflection on employment. And as employment went up and construction started picking up, and then pickup trucks started to sell more, and then the next thing I know, I'm looking at Ford's projections and Ford's numbers and GM and then Toyota, and I'm like putting it all together, and I start cross-indexing that with the fact that we had a deficit of production of palladium because demand's never been that big, and I started writing about the perfect storm, and this thing hasn't slowed up. And I mean, I know I got a comment from you when I did the interview for Bloomberg, in which I was talking about people rolling under SUVs, sawing out their catalytic converters to take their to take the palladium out of them,
Hmm.
and that's an indicator when it's being stolen right off of cars on the street. That market's on fire.
Yeah.
And so subsequently, what is it, Norinsky? My Russian's horrible, but I think that's how it's converted. But they're giant nickel producer, but they're also a big player in precious metals. And they came out and said that as far as they're concerned, as tight as the market is, they've decided to step in and buy 600,000 ounces of palladium. I was like, and I kept reading the numbers. I mean, this compares to what they bought, which was 5 tons last year, which is, let's say, 160.7 thousand ounces of product. Now they're going to come in and do 600,000. I mean, that's just going to shrink this market tremendously. And obviously, they feel that palladium, which we should say is used for the curbing of emissions in what comes out the end of your tailpipe, it helps reduce the pollution that comes out. And they're talking about tremendous reductions of pollution in China with the new mandate, and so not only in Russia but in China. So you see that correlation once again, David, between the two trading with one another, and the Russian producers looking and going, you know what, we're going to snap up what's around here because demand is going to be so large from China, and the price just keeps going up.
Yeah. Sounds like a bullish outlook, at least for now. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Wanted to shift over to a super hot topic, at least on my YouTube channel, Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies in general.
You are not kidding.
Bitcoin futures have been in the news lately. I don't know. Sounds like it might be promising. I get a lot of comments all the time on Bitcoin futures, a lot of questions. What's your outlook on that?
Well, initially, let me give you an example of how hot it is. I mean, I was at the Asian Symposium, and I was fortunate enough to be invited to that and on the panel. And I will tell you that 3 of the 5 heads of the Asian exchanges all said that they were looking at, had reviewed, or were considering the possibility of having a contract on their exchange. So offshore, that tells you there's interest. In America, the CME has said, hey, guess what? We're going to have a contract, and it blew everybody away. They were many steps ahead of the market, and which is why it's the CME group. I mean, that's what they do, and right now the thing has been, I keep fielding all these questions because we're one of the very few brokerage houses that handles refined bullion, handles coins, things of that nature. So a lot of people want to sell their Bitcoin to us, hedge it on a platform, and then possibly buy metal against it. They want to do the trifecta,
Gotcha.
Which hasn't been able to do before. So let's say, for example, you have $500,000 worth of Bitcoin, and you're saying to yourself, this coin's at 8. Maybe I don't want to sell the coins, but maybe I want to sell $4,000 worth, or $40,000 or $400,000 worth of coins, and I want to hedge them. What do I do? So we've been trying to be in the forefront here and follow it as closely as we can, because we want to be able to mitigate that risk for people that have product, because there's a lot of nervous people out there right now.
Understandably. So if people wanted to make that type of exchange or transaction, could they go to ZanerPreciousMetals.com and contact you through there?
Absolutely, and we'll try to we're trying to stay as the information comes out. Right now, the CME, just so you know, and all your listeners know, they're talking about fourth quarter launch, which is and that of course, realistically, it's going to pend regulatory review, and then they have to be certified. But they've been pushing pretty hard, and that's what they're talking about. They're talking about the end of this quarter. So The relationship between Bitcoin futures and spot market is a very big question. CME Bitcoin futures are going to be based on CME Bitcoin reference rate. So what they're actually going to do, and this is interesting, they're actually going to do an aggregate similar to, but not quite the same as the spot gold, the London fix. And so they're going to aggregate a price, and then they'll trade off of that price after it's set between 3 and 4 p.m. London time, which I think is very interesting, very innovative. And where's it going to be traded? Here's one that people want to know. It's going to be traded and cleared at the CME. So you're going to have your counterparty is going to be the exchange. So, boy, is that going to change the game, huh?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. By the way, if people want to contact Zaner Precious Metals, if they want to tap into the wisdom and insight here and the latest information on precious metals and just the markets in general, including cryptocurrencies, the email that I've got here is info @zaner.com, and the toll-free number I've got here is 1-800-621-1414. And
we have a local number that goes through to the metals desk. If you have metals questions and you want direct access, 312-277-0140.
Yep.
It gets a little busy in here when the things get moving, but we will take your call. We will get back to you. I promise you.
Yeah, and once again, that's right there at the top of the website. You can't miss it. 312-277-0140 on ZanerPreciousMetals.com. So a big question. This is kind of a basic question. I mean, what's better to have in a crisis type of situation? Some people say it's better to have cryptocurrencies. Some people say it's better to have good old precious metals. Maybe a combination of both. I don't know. What do you think?
Whew, boy, I mean, that's honestly, David, that's the hottest question right now. I mean, I'm hearing it everywhere.
Yeah.
I can't go anywhere without people going, which one do I want to own? So let's go recent, and let's go with a broad paintbrush here and try to give your listeners a good overview of where you want to be.
Sure.
Let's talk Texas and the floods. And so I have refineries down there. I have refiners. I have metals, bullion dealers there. They're dear friends of mine for many, many years. And I'm calling all of them. What can we do? How can we help you? Do you want to transfer product to vaults we have? What do you want to do? And what was interesting was one of our refiners, dear friend of mine, man with family. And so I said to him, I go, what are you going to do? He says, Pete, it's real simple. He said, everybody here's got a sidearm. Everybody's got ammo. All of my kids have their backpacks on. We have rolls of silver coins in there. I have some gold on me. And so what I did was I thought about it. I thought, here we are. We're in the middle of a flood, and people are evacuating. And what are they doing? They're taking gold and silver. They're loading up their pickup truck, and they're going to high ground. They had no electricity. So, it's ringing in my head, cryptocurrencies, what's going to happen if we run out of electricity? Where's it going to be? In a real crisis, which that was, here they are grabbing their coins and grabbing their guns, and off they're going to the hills, and in that scenario, I think it's pretty straightforward. You're not going to be throwing your laptop on to do a transaction.
Gotcha. So my Coinbase account won't be of much help to me if the what hits the fan.
Absolutely. And that's not saying now, let's, in all fairness, I mean, this is a new technology and it is growing by leaps and bounds, and there's I know some people involved in it are great people, great intellects. So I'm not slamming the door on it. What I'm saying is, it's a tool for a job. So look, we just discussed earlier in the show, Dave, Zimbabwe. Now in Zimbabwe, Bitcoin went crazy. People just dumped everything they had into Bitcoin, and they did okay. They managed to come out with it. When you're in a situation where you could be possibly accosted by some type of civil insurrection where things can be taken from you, maybe that's where you want to be, is on the web,
Right.
So I think in all fairness, it's a tool with a different use. And in this case, escaping that particular environment, it worked out quite well.
Right.
I had a very lengthy conversation with a person who is a broker offshore, and he called me and he says, Pete, I've known you for 20 years. I have a very upscale client of mine who wants to get into diversification, and I said, oh, diversification. Oh, okay, great. You want to move into art, precious metals? Where are you going with him? And he says, well. He says, you don't quite understand, mate. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, no, we don't look at diversification here as different assets, because everyone there has a certain amount of precious metal. Everyone there has a certain amount of different fiat currency. He says, we look at diversification as having assets in different countries. And
okay.
yeah, that was exactly what I said. I went, you kind of, it rings the bell, you go, aha. And he goes, we want to have you set us up a vaulting situation in America, and then we want to have something in the Caymans, and we already have stuff in Switzerland. We already have stuff in Malta. I was like, wow, diversification. So it's interesting now how we're seeing diversification into crypto, diversification into metal, but not only that, the assets themselves are being moved around to different nations just for security, and so the whole game is changing.
Yeah, it really is, and I don't think there's anything wrong with holding some cryptos. I don't think we're putting down cryptos in any way whatsoever. I like the history of precious metals. I like the fact that they've been around for thousands of years, and we know that they will retain their value. If you own bars or bullion of gold, silver, palladium, whatever it is, it can't get hacked. It's a thing you're holding in your hand.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it really is. It's true. I mean, I always look at it like this way. I know they paid the line crew that was putting the stones into the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt in gold. I paid them in gold, onions, and garlic. So
okay,
I kind of like that long-term scenario. It's been used as currency for 7,000 years. It's still strong.
Right. Okay. Well, I wanted to talk about ZahnerPreciousMetals.com. This is a website that's very, it's got so many resources on it. And I wanted to talk about, are there any updates, anything new going on with the website?
Well, it is actually, the old saying. I mean, keep moving or die. And if you're not creating something new, then you're certainly not going to be around anymore. And that's just, that's how we are. I mean, my partner fortunately has really taken the mantle here and pushed our web solutions into a whole new area. And people who own bullion shops, who own refineries, who are miners, who are, that whole jewelry scenario, they can go to tornadobullion.com and see all of our new updates as far as what we offer to development of websites for eBay, for Amazon, for all of that. Over the years, Tom and I were I just look over my shoulder and say, Tommy, I got 500 here, boom, and he'd just lay them off. And it just got to the point where we finally had to start building stuff for ourselves. And then, after we'd built all the stuff for ourselves, after 4 or 5 years, we started blowing that out. And the next thing you know, everybody in the industry was like, hey, we know you guys are doing this. Can we do it? And so we just sort of evolved into it. And that's it's been a whole new area for us in the last few years. It's been growing by leaps and bounds because we're brokers, we're metal brokers, and we understand it. So people come to us rather than going to a technology center and teaching them their business.
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking through ZanerPreciousMetals.com right now. You've got quite a wide assortment of silver, gold, platinum, palladium. Is it just me, or are the Canadian coins even more beautiful than the American ones?
Well, I'll tell you what. There's first off, the guy that brought back the St. Gaudens is Edward Moy, our former chairman, and what a great guy he is. I can't say enough good things about him, and he's retired, and I just love that coin. I'm so glad that the American Eagle was brought back. But the difference that's really important, David, is this. The Canadian maple leaf is 24 karat gold. The American Eagle has a little bit of copper in it to make it a little harder. You drop or brush a maple. Gold is a very soft metal, and it can be damaged.
Yeah.
The Eagle is a little harder. It's a little more durable. You put it in your pocket, there's a good chance it'll come out the same way it went in. So you get a little more demand for it because of the fact that it's stable. Now, that being said, I could tell you in Germany, sold out of maples. They just can't get enough of them. And the European, the EU palette is really 24 karat gold. They don't want to hear about anything else, which is why the only coin that's made for your listeners in 24 karat gold by the U.S. Mint is the American Buffalo. It's a beautiful coin. And we have them available on our website, and you can pick them up anytime. And they are limited production by the U.S. Mint. Fortunately, we have good access to them.
Right.
And so they are soft, 24 karat gold, and they're sent in a sleeve so they don't get damaged. But so between the American Eagle, which is the harder coin, the American Buffalo, which is 24 karat, and the Maple Leaf, which is 24 karat. There's a lot of demand for those three right now.
Yeah, and I could see why. So whether anybody listening to this is a collector, they like the beauty, the numismatic, historical value of these coins and bullion, you should check it out. And if you are an investor and you want a solid, reliable investment that's been around for thousands of years, precious metals really is the way to go.
And we can also help with IRAs too, David. We have an ERISA agent who's available that we can steer you into, and we do over the years we do have what's called an arm's length setup where we can't dip into your IRA. It's opened in your name, and then it goes to a vault that's out of my control, and it's held at arm's length from that, and that vault is inspected by the United States government and given a certified status so that when it goes in, you don't have to worry about a tax event happening.
Nice. Extra levels of security there. I like that a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, very good. So I've been speaking with Mr. Peter Thomas, return guest and hopefully frequent guest here on Looking at the Markets. Once again, the Twitter handle, if I can get it right for once, is Metal Zaner. Metal Zaner, at Metal Zaner.
Perfect.
Check that out on Twitter. Of course, check out the website, which is ZanerPreciousMetals.com. For the phone number, I've got the local one, 312-277-0140. If you're a toll-free kind of guy or gal, it's 1-800-621-1414, or email info@zaner.com. All these are going to be in the description of this video. All right, Mr. Peter Thomas, I really enjoyed speaking with you. It's very
great. Thank you.
It's always very conversational and very relaxed, and you make it very easy for me. So I really appreciate it. And
I think it's pretty nice of you to take the time out of the day to try to get some information out to your listeners too. A lot of people will just run on, but we try very hard to give people some salient stuff.
Awesome. Well, Mr. Peter Thomas, you're welcome back, sir, anytime on Looking at the Markets.
Thank you so much. Take care now.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time.